friends, let me tell you about my guest, Kimberly Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K, award-winning national security, border security investigative reporter, TV, radio, and print media. She is the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. Also a TV correspondent, CW6 News San Diego, as well as One America News Network. And her website is the KD Report. Kimberly, how are you?
I'm fine. How about yourself, Chuck?
Pretty good. You seem a little bit further away this time. Are you streaming?
I'm streaming. Yes, I am streaming live. Who knows with what's going on with all of the Facebook stuff, so that's all I can say. I don't know what they're doing out there. It's different every time lately, so at least I'm out of Facebook jail. So, but on a positive note, on a positive note, let's
letting you on the porch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say, at least on a positive note, we can talk about golf. I had like my first league experience last night, and I'll share with the listeners here what I got from the team manager. He said, Miss Kimberly gets big props for her performance today. Well done. Joey, she killed her quota, and I would not be surprised to see her at the top of the leaderboard after all the dust settles on week one. She has strong tee and green hitting in the majority of her fairways off the box, following up strong approach shots. If she could reduce my putting, if I could reduce my putting laughter, that would be the whole enchilada. I'd be on the professional tour. Anyways, last night I had my first experience, and I was excited.
Did you say the memo said she has strong teeth?
Teeth? No, she's got teeth. I'm a strong performer. I'm doing well. Tee shots. When you hit the ball, when you put the tee down, and then you put the ball on top of it, and then we swing it, and then you try to get as close to the green as possible. So.
Yeah, well, I know how to play golf. In fact, I'll tell you something real quick. Have you ever heard of Kathy Whitworth?
No.
No? Okay. She was the first professional woman golfer that, broke the record for earning all the money, right?
Okay.
And she was in a little bitty town, and I lived in that little bitty town, and I think I was in the 9th grade and I'm taking golf, and so she was one of the 2 instructors that we had. Never realized, well, we probably did. She was very good, and then she went on to be
Great.
The highest money winner for a long time. But I do know how to play golf, but it's, I get it down there, and it takes 22 shots to get it in that little round thing on the ground. The hole.
Well, I think not every day you play the same, so I was so nervous because it was my first time in that kind of like competitive setting. And so I was just focused just on myself, the ball, and getting it to the green, and actually held all my teammates up. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that when I got it over, because like I said, I was really nervous about it. But just, it's something positive out there when we've got a world that's kind of going sideways continually here. This was kind of positive, at least for me. I was like really getting depressed about doing any kind of reporting on all of these issues, and now I kind of came back at it this morning with a little different view, and maybe a little clearer head, but it just where we really stand. So I like today's topics.
And is this on the riding and insurance costs?
Yeah, that's one of them, and then the other one, is on the
letter.
Yeah, the letter. Yeah.
The open letter to Donald Trump from I guess the guy has enough credentials to be able to write letters to the president. Yeah, I'll let Kimberly explain that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
Hey, one other important thing now: when you're playing golf, you don't have to wear a mask, do you?
Nope. No mask required.
Good, because if you holler 4, the 4 sounds good, but then listen.
Yeah, it sounds a little muddled, like. Yeah.
People, I'll tell you, it is so bad what's going on in America. I know, that one group of people want to be acknowledged, and I really feel that they're being taken by another group, mainly Antifa.
Yeah.
But all the destruction and all the burning and destroying and the looting and the people, that live there, work
Yeah.
there, and have to put up with it now. It's just and try to rebuild.
Yeah.
I was watching one out here in L.A. and a guy that had a shoe shop, right? So
Yeah.
shoes and purses and things like that, and just, I mean, totally tore it up. And the amazing thing is there's a picture that was knocked off the wall, and it's the owner's wife sitting with a famous black person. Doesn't matter.
No.
Doesn't matter.
No.
No, we're after the merchandise, and
Yeah.
we're gonna show you, that we're gonna make a statement.
Yeah, and I've watched.
When it comes to
It's funny
property
because.
claims, and that's what you're. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say on that point with the people, there was also a lot of video of people that, young people who are saying, "Oh, we're on your side, and meanwhile they're throwing bricks and rocks through their glass windows, trying to, take down their business, regardless of the fact that they were sitting on the side of the protesters, and that what happened to George Floyd was absolutely ludicrous, but they seem to understand that the situation was exclusively for minorities. It wasn't for the other kids that were sitting in their office. It looked like it was some sort of computer store or something like that, and they were their business was getting robbed, and the bricks getting thrown through the windows and that, and you can hear them screaming, "I'm on your side, I'm on your side." They don't care because that's not the focus of all of this. That's not the focus.
Well, their friend was Shaquille O'Neal that came to me after I started to think of it there. But it makes no difference.
It makes no sense.
You say approximately, about 9,000 arrests nationwide. This was when this was filed.
Yeah.
And, then you've got auto insurance, right?
Yep.
You've got home insurance, business insurance.
Yep.
Some of the really interesting stuff in here is about the payoffs,
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know.
Well, I just think that
okay,
we get further away from the actual rioting, and we get through. People are calming down. Cooler heads are prevailing. Much of the country is starting to reopen. Young people have completely forgotten about this issue, and now are getting obsessed when people are trying to talk to them about it when they're sitting on the beach trying to enjoy the summer. Now that they don't have any more college, presumably through August or so. So in any event, I've talked to my son about it, and I think that when we look at the rioting, we look at 9, 10, whether it goes up to 15,000, we don't know in the end how many people will have been arrested for this. You talk to a lot of these young people, the Gen Xers and the younger millennials, and most people just assume that they are just completely on the side of the African Americans in this situation. And the beauty, I guess, of COVID for these individuals, these young people, first, they're not going to vote. So just if you're people out there stating that, is Biden going to get their votes? Is Trump going to get their votes? These people are not voting. And they just don't. They look at it and say, "My vote doesn't count, so I'm not voting." So they're not.
You mean not even with the mail-in ballot?
Nope, no. They're not interested. They're not interested in this because they've seen in the past that whatever everybody jumps up and does this for whatever cause it is at the moment, and then nothing changes. So they saw this. This group particularly saw all the school shootings. And they kept thinking things would change. And they're like, what? It just ain't going to change. So why is this different? But with the COVID, which brought it's an interesting factor, I think, for young people, for us older, and for us parents that are looking at it. They actually went and did their research on this COVID situation. And now that it's coming out, we're watching all these protests and demonstrations and all of this. And they're looking at it going, okay, look, you know what? That should have been Armageddon for the entire population. And it wasn't. That just reinsured that these people are like, you know what? This was a government lie. The government perpetrated this and kind of made this, I think, bigger than it was by confining everyone. But younger people actually did get on the internet and start doing all kinds of different research. And they were actually, got away from the Yahoo and the the BuzzFeed and those kind of websites where they get their news at. They actually did the research on some of these stories, and they found out that these stories actually weren't exactly as black and white as the news outlet was professing. So I think that's a good thing. If we have to look at silver lining, I'm trying to look at the brighter side now that we're moving away from that. So I'm looking at it being a positive. We're all inside. We crushed our economy and killed the economy almost. And the silver lining is, at least I think this younger group of kids actually did some research that they never would have done had they just been at school going to parties, whatever it is they do when they're attending college and they're not in the classroom. So that's the positiveness. The interesting thing about the insurance companies, it's going to cost a lot of money. So if you're, say, with USAA, or you're with State Farm or something like that, Progressive has those funny commercials on TV. Don't think that this isn't going to hurt all of the people who are with those insurance companies. There will be rate hikes that go along with this. So, and also they don't point out what the deductibles are. So if, say, you're a business owner and you sustained like $5 million damage, but you've got $100,000 deductible, well, you may not be able to pay that. And if you can't pay for that deductible, you're not getting that money to rebuild. So now you're going to be in and out of, probably arbitration courts, trying to figure out how you're going to get your business rebuilt. And in the end, like they say, some of these businesses will just go away. But also some of these, homeowners, and, if they've had their cars, completely, decimated, will not be able to get back in the game, because right now they didn't have that savings account, so they could just put aside the money and then purchase a car at the end of all of this stuff. So I mean, those are things that we're starting to see now, and I think that this, just people being aware that lawmakers are going to force these insurance companies to pay out on them, which is fine, you pay into your thing, but on the other side, just keep in mind who's going to be paying the bills moving forward, because we know they will go after rate hikes for the entire membership of their, whether it's State Farm, Progressive, whatever the account is. So, so that's just something to keep in mind. So,
yeah. And for the listeners, see, they do have some very good statistics, see, because in this report from Kelly, she reminds us that the largest riot-related insurance losses came after the 1992 LA riots. That was Rodney King.
Yep. And
the interesting thing is that the policyholders the insurers paid the policyholders $775 million, but that was money back then.
Yeah.
That would be equivalent to $1.4 billion now.
Just in LA.
Hurricane Katrina.
Just LA.
Just in LA.
Yeah.
Hurricane Katrina 2005, it was $55.1 billion, today's prices.
Yep.
Let me see. Wasn't there one other one here that you had? I was trying to find that.
Oh yeah,
Disaster.
Oh yeah. Well, I was talking about the St. Patrick's Day thing, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, those are good examples. One was just in in New Orleans, Greater New Orleans area, and the other one's just LA. This is like an event that like fell upon New York, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, even Washington D.C. You had Richmond here. You had all kinds of. Houston was another big one. Chicago, of course. A couple days ago they had 28 people murdered on the weekend last weekend, and we're not worried about those guys that are getting killed.
They don't need the police, do they?
No.
Well, bring the police then.
Yeah. So
if we can break that 28, boy.
Yeah, and that's perspective. But that brings perspective to all of this and what's going on. And I know today the House is having hearings on their bill that they want to just basically, they're going to give cities the opportunity to defund police departments. And I mean, I don't know how you're going to fix the situation if you think that, getting rid of the entire police department is going to be the way to go. But if Los Angeles wants to try it, and if New York really wants to try it, or Chicago, have at it. You will be screaming for federal aid and the National Guard maybe within the day, because that's how quickly these criminals will descend onto the shopping malls, onto the car lots, wherever it may be. and either destroying or stealing property. And they are looking for new laws for this, for all of this stuff that's going on. And I think that, we already have laws on the books for murder. And if these 4 officers were, in full knowledge that this individual could not breathe, we don't know all of the details. There's a lot of details coming out, and I presume we're going to hear a little bit more as we get closer that, Mr. Floyd did serve jail time, that he had some other issues in his past. And that's perhaps why they went after murder 3 instead of murder 1, because they didn't want to have to defend the person who was killed in this situation. And
I'm going to make it real quickly before we have to go into our break. I think the biggest thing coming out of this, the most disturbing thing for me, other than the death of Mr. Floyd, is the fact that that officer that killed him had 17 misconduct things on his record.
Yep.
And there was a guy on Forrest Tucker, I think it was last night, saying, see, that's the politics in the department. They didn't do anything, and I couldn't do anything. And he was police chief. And he was also black. So I'll tell you. We're going to take a break, and we're going to continue. Kimberly Dvorak, she is streaming live, by the way, and you can catch everything at thekdreport.com. This will be repeated, and you don't want to miss it, all right? She is the Senior Foreign Policy Advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. Let's get some responsible United States action. All right. We'll be right back. And I think we're going to talk about this letter.
I just want to finish. I actually have one. Like Malcolm is watching this via Facebook, and he was asking about the, getting out and talking about these things. And I wanted, right before the break, I forgot to get this out there. But if people want change within the police departments, police unions, that's who we need to hold in contempt here, because the police unions are the ones that protect these officers, and they protect them from, once they eventually get fired from these departments, going off to other police departments just across state lines, and them not having any of their record moving with them. So if we want to see some changes, real changes and reform within the police departments, the police unions, which of course is a stronghold for the Democrats, are the ones that are going to have to give up a lot of power and hold these people accountable, because that's where this change starts, and that's where this change could end. Okay, yes, we can move on to the letter. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. And as I said, that's what happened with the guy. 17, bad strikes against him, and then he ends up killing.
Okay. And they were hoping for a different outcome. I don't know any world where that's okay. Speaking of any world, we'll talk about the kingdom here, the world above all worlds here. And Catholic priest had actually decided he was going to write an open letter to President Trump here as to what he could do and what he had sought, and what he's seen in the past several months in this country. And I think one of the main takeaways of it is here that he talks about the deep state an awful lot, as being Satan, or children of darkness, and some other colorful language that he
talks about the enemies, God and Satan.
Fighting.
Satan.
And then which side are you on? Are you on the side of people who are looking for wealth and getting wealthier and staying in war, perpetual war, which globalism in the Middle East and all these wars are? Or are you actually going to focus on your herd here in the United States? And I think that for the vast majority in this country, we'd like to focus on the United States for a while and start rebuilding, and maybe perhaps do something like what Ike did in building the interstate freeway system. Even though we didn't have the amount of cars that were going to use them up front, look, now we have, and now we're expanding and trying to widen and fix up all of these freeways. Our bridges and infrastructure need to be repaired. These are things that will put all of these millions of workers who are out of work back to work. And I think that when you look at this through like a religious perspective, and usually I know we don't talk about religion here, but they have a role to play as well, and we shouldn't be taking sides one way or the other, but we should also be at least in this forum, kind of pointing out those that are within the flock that maybe not actually acting on the best interest of the greater and just acting on self and selfishness in a time when everybody kind of needs a feel-good story. And it was kind of interesting. This is kind of why the president has turned to the church and has done well, because unlike other presidents, there's actions that he did. I mean, he went to the Right for Life March, and then he made April the month for child abuse month. So, the president's done things for life, and he's actually done actions where other presidents say they're not going to, and those need to be looked at as well. So.
Well, Kimberly, all out of time, and let me give you this note, because you and I have talked about this, and I've only got a few moments. Iran is now close to the nuclear weapons breakout. Just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Boy, and she keeps up on it. All right. Thank you very much, Kimberly Dvorak, and it's thekdreport.com. Look forward to our next visit.
Thank you.